I started to do better in 3 months of sports cards than I was at my job. I wasn't getting paid a lot at the time, but it really started to take off. So I had to take a step back and be like, I'm doing pretty well as a part-time gig. I can only imagine the potential if I put my full effort into it.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Nolan Claypack. This is the New School Project. I'm joined by Nick Fuss, everybody. Let's freaking go at Breakwave Sports Cards. Nick, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Good to see you.
It's very good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a long time. I've just been
Yeah,
following it on IG.
yeah, awesome.
So, how'd you get into it? How'd you find yourself in Chicago? How did it all start?
Yeah, so we'll go back to like my beginning with sports cards. It's kind of similar to a lot of people. Like, I don't know about you, but like when I was a kid, I'd go to the grocery store with my mom, and if I was a
Uh,
good helper, like at the checkout line, I'd get a pack of cards. And like
yeah.
back then, I didn't know anything about like rarity, or I didn't even understand what rookie cards were really. I just
Mm-hmm.
thought if you got like Tom Brady, that's good because Tom Brady's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a little card collection when I was younger, and then you grow up, you kind of get out of it. Like I start playing football. I'm starting to go to parties and like chasing girls. So like sports cards are, on the back of my mind now.
Sure.
So, um, kind of fast forward to 2019. It was like right before COVID. My grandpa got sick and he passed away. And then my family, we had to clean out his house to get it ready to sell. And
Mm-hmm.
he had like a binder full of sports cards. So my
Oh,
mom gives
okay.
them to me and she's like, "Hey, take a look at these and try to figure out if anything's worth anything. Maybe he's got some good stuff in here." So through that, I kind of start researching sports cards and trying to figure out how do you determine the value on them and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I hop onto eBay and I learned that you check sold listings on eBay and you can see, comparable sales. Well, as I'm doing that, I keep seeing these break listings and I didn't know what a break was at the time, but it would be like Chicago Bears and then it would be like a picture of a bunch of boxes. So that kind of got me intrigued. And I'm seeing all these break listings. So finally I joined one. And in like 2020, the Bears were like a not sought after team. So I was
Yeah.
getting them really cheap, like it'd be like $2,000 worth of boxes and I could get them for like 20 bucks.
Yeah.
So I joined a couple breaks and I'm joining in with all these random guys. And it was like you would go on, most of them would do it on like Instagram Live or I think that was really all that was like Facebook Live, I think was the thing at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys were like so unprofessional. Like you'd have some dude sitting in his kitchen table, his 3-year-old's like running around screaming, his wife's yelling at him, and like Fox News is blaring in the background.
Yep.
So it was like not an enjoyable experience, like watching these breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of start to think to myself, like, I feel like I could do a better job at this, not in a cocky way, but I'm just like, these guys are, it like ruining the experience. So I decided I'm going to try to do my first break. So now it's getting into like 2020 and things are getting really hectic. Like sports cards are starting to explode.
Okay.
So this is the point where
So
like
had
you go to
you
the,
had you
go
sold a
ahead.
card at this point?
No, I haven't sold anything. So come to find out, a lot of that collection that my grandpa had is what we refer to as like junk wax era. So
Okay.
like 80s, 90s, which is what when I talk to most people, that say, "Oh, I got some sports cards." It's usually that 80s, 90s era, and they
Mhm.
overprinted that era so much. So the value, I mean, there's exceptions, Michael Jordan and things like that, but as a whole, like that era of sports cards is pretty worthless.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was just a learning experience. I mean, I found some old Bears cards that kind of resonated with me, even though they weren't worth much, but that
Mm-hmm.
kind of like kicked something off.
So a break is like when somebody has, multiple boxes they're never going to open. They don't want to spend the time to go through it and they put it on here and that's considered a break.
Yeah, so essentially how breaking started was like a group of collectors would go in on, so you have boxes of cards and then you have cases, which might be like 12 boxes in a case.
Okay.
So the problem is like if you go into a shop and you open up a box, first of all, they're pretty expensive, right? They could be, I mean, some boxes go up to like $25,000 or more.
Yeah.
Um, but people don't want to spend that kind of money on one box and then get a bunch of players they don't like. I'm a Bears fan. I don't want to open up a box and I get a Jordan Love autograph. You know what I mean? So you get the thrill of opening up the box, but you buy your team. You buy the guys you want to collect.
Hmm.
That's how breaking started. And that it was usually that format, pick your team breaks.
Okay.
Now there's all other kinds of formats that people have been running, but
There's a whole wave of breaks,
yeah,
huh? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so it's 2020. You're still in Michigan?
Yeah, still in Michigan at this point. Just fresh out of college, broke as hell. I bought my first house like way before I was ready. Had
Hmm.
no money. But yeah, I decide I want to run my first break. So, like I was saying, this is the kickoff of COVID, and all the supermarkets, like the shelves are cleared out. Like you can't just go in and buy a box of cards anymore. All those boxes are, scalpers are getting to them because they're reselling for triple on eBay.
Yep.
So, I'm driving around like all the Myers, the Walmarts, everything in the suburbs was hit, but I was driving around like kind of in the city in Detroit for my job at the time. I'm
Hmm.
like, let me pop in here one day. And for whatever reason, sports cards, I guess, didn't sell as much down there. So I would
Hmm.
go in there and I was able to find some boxes. So I spend like my entire net worth, which was like $600 at the time, on all
Hmm.
these like little blaster boxes and bring them back, set up my first break. I posted it on eBay and then I was going to break on Instagram Live. And I didn't know about eBay fees, nothing. So I lost like probably half my investment. I got completely cooked,
Sure.
but it was cool. I ran my first break and it was pretty cool experience. And the guys that were in the room kind of liked the way I handled the cards and like the professionalism, I guess. So
Yeah.
it just kind of kept going from there.
Well, that's like one thing that I noticed, like you're kind of getting into where you're going to these conventions now.
Mhm.
And I was just talking to my buddy about it, who doesn't know you. He's my brother-in-law, and he's like, "No way, you're gonna talk to that guy today?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's
That's
very
awesome.
cool." So,
Yeah.
and I thought I'd tell you that because it's very cool, and you're making some noise or some waves, if you will. The
Yeah.
tides are
Thank you.
moving, baby, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So run me through your first experience. So you set it up like what are we talking here? Are we talking like a curtain in the back or how do you
Yeah.
go
Well,
live for the first time?
at
And
the
is
time nobody really had like a sophisticated setup like face cams and like overlays and soundboards. Like that wasn't a thing for
yeah,
breakers at the time. It was pretty much just you got a stand and put your iPhone on it, and it was just the front facing camera, and
yep,
that's all you saw was your hands and heard the voice through the phone. So it was pretty bare bones setup.
yep.
But it was just having a quiet environment. Like I have a brake mat, which is just like a mouse pad that you would get customized with your logo on it,
Hmm.
maybe like something along the back wall just to make it look a little neater.
Yeah.
So, that's all it really took to kind of stand out back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we sell sometimes Pokemon cards or comics
Mhm.
here. So we got a lot of that stuff going on here. And the first time I ever saw like a card box or like a photo box,
Mhm.
I was like, all right, that
Yeah.
costed like $22 and it completely changed the whole stream,
Yeah.
things like that. So when you're doing a break, are you eventually sending these cards or is somebody coming to get them?
No, so once you open up all the cards, what people see on camera, they just see the fun part, right? Of you ripping open the boxes. The
Sure.
back end work that goes into it, especially back then before TikTok Shop and a lot of these live selling platforms, which we could talk about later. Um, Back when I first started, you're basically, well, when I was on eBay, it would handle like all their addresses and everything, but you have to separate all the cards by team, which takes kind of a long time, right? One
Sure.
by one, you're placing Cardinals, Bears, Commanders,
Yeah.
You have to penny sleeve them. I'm sure you've seen like the little soft plastic sleeves you put them in, and then
Do
you
you
put them in
penny
the top
sleeve and then
loaders.
you hard sleeve it or
Yeah.
whattever?
Yeah.
I,
So
how
depending on
how
like the
good's your
quantity,
how good's your tap? Is your
I'm pretty
tap
good. I don't tap. I have a little technique. It's hard to show on camera, but yeah, everybody's got their own different way of sliding them in. I'm pretty fast. I don't sleeve as much as I used to. My brother does now, so he's like, you know,
just
record
wicked at it?
fast. Yeah.
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 I think that's actually how I heard about it. And then I started looking into it. And then now it sees how long that I watch your videos.
Oh
And
yeah.
anything you post is just popping up right away
Oh,
now.
that's awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So that's awesome. All right. So did you start it? So are you by yourself still, or do you have a team? You're kind of going into how the people that you were doing that your first break with kind of
Mhm.
liked your professionalism, which I can definitely understand. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, I'll just finish what I was saying before. So yeah, all the back end work. Eventually
Hmm.
I transitioned over from eBay to Facebook is where I started breaking. I had a friend that tipped me off that, hey, Facebook's better because you can avoid the 13% eBay fees,
Yep.
which over time adds up. So I move over to Facebook, and at that point, I'm doing everything by myself while I'm working a full-time job. So, I'm
Hmm.
waking up at 6 a.m., I'm getting home at 5 o'clock. Immediately when I get home, I'm setting up a break. And then on Facebook, I have to manually collect payment from everybody. So I'll have Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, and I'm sitting there. I got to check all 32 teams. Okay, this guy paid, this guy paid. And then I have to manually collect all their addresses, message them, what's your address, blah, 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 and then print shipping labels one by one. And I did that for probably a year. And it was horrible. I mean, I was not sleeping at all, like every day, because I'd break from like 6 to let's say 10, 11 o'clock, but then the shipping takes another couple hours. So I'm up to like 2 in the morning,
Yep.
sleeping for 4 hours, getting ready, going to work the next day, doing it all over again. And I
Yep.
was all by myself at that point. So that was a grind. That was tough. And then eventually it just started growing so much that I had to look at the numbers and I'm like, I think I started to do better in 3 months of sports cards than I was at my job. I wasn't getting paid a lot at the time, but it
Hmm.
really started to take off. So I had to take a step back and be like, I'm doing pretty well as a part-time gig. I can only imagine the potential if I put my full effort into it.
Right.
So then I made the jump. Um, and it
And
was it was scary,
what year was
especially
that?
what's that?
Was that 21?
This is probably late into 2022.
Hmm.
So the issue is you kind of need a decent bankroll because the way it works, like these products are very expensive and the margins are pretty thin.
Yep.
So especially like when we transition to TikTok, you don't get paid until 3 days after that package gets delivered. So
Yeah.
they might hold your money for, 7 to 9 days.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't have a lot of money saved up to keep buying more boxes, you might run breaks for 3 days and then you got to wait for that payment to hit because you got no cash.
You lose
So
progress. You
yeah.
know, you
And you got to be
can't.
consistent. You got to be on every day. Otherwise, they'll find somewhere else to go.
Well,
You're
the
not there.
interesting thing is that like the business model always has work.
Mhm.
There's always work to be done, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like you could be doing this or you could be doing that, and then eventually I'm assuming like you onboarded people that are really good at doing certain things within the company,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, we've stayed small. I've had other employees in the past kind of come and go, but we're down to a two-man team. It's just me and my brother. And honestly, I like it that way. I've seen a lot of people in my industry that want to just get big for the sake of being big.
yeah.
And I've seen a lot of competitors or peers, however you want to look at them, I guess, expand too quickly, and the quality of their breaks, the quality of their packaging goes downhill quick,
Mm-hmm.
and they lose people that way. So
Well,
I've kind of enjoyed like staying small and nimble and being able to keep low overhead and be competitive on pricing.
yeah.
So I really enjoyed that.
And you found that out, huh? Like, did
Yeah.
you have more people at one point, and did it get messy or?
Yeah, I mean we contained it pretty well. It was I don't want to say it got messy, but I what happens a lot in this industry, breakers get a bad reputation
Mm-hmm.
because cards go missing. So
Mm-hmm.
immediately people assume that the breaker is stealing cards from somebody,
Mm-hmm.
because really it's a he said, she said, because you could say I packed the card, the customer opens it, they didn't take a video of them opening the package, most times. And hey, my $500 card wasn't in my package.
Mm-hmm.
So now they out you on social media, you're a scammer, your whole business goes to shit.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times what happens is people are hiring uh, people to sort and package these breaks, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like high schoolers that are stoned and like have their AirPods in, not paying attention, making
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah.
So, I never wanted to get to that point. I'm very like detail oriented and I want to make sure everything's accounted for, well organized. So that's hard to do, to trust somebody else to do that when they
Yeah.
don't care as much as you do about your business reputation.
100%. Certainly can rely on your bloodline. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Yeah.
So, are you just doing one specific sport at this time? Because, like, what I'm trying to understand is, so you guys some people like sell sports card like on Whatnot, right?
Hmm.
They'll like flip through a bunch of cards and then
Yeah.
people will auction on it,
Hmm.
and I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
I've sold, like 300 comics in one night.
Oh, really?
But only $1 a piece for the comics, which is probably
Yeah.
why we sold it. But
Yeah.
we just went to a comic shop and grabbed a box, and then I tried to get real, kind of like Pat McAfee or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
bring some moxie and just started selling them. But then you have nights where you're doing the same thing and nobody's biting. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is, are you guys doing that, or are you guys doing breaks for specific leagues, specific sports, or is that part of like the scalability? Like you've gotten this bulk of cards or you've bought these boxes and then you break them,
Hmm.
right, into the individual teams in all different leagues in all different sports. Is that how it
Well,
was? And
for
did
the
that
longest time,
scale?
I'm like a diehard football fan. That's really football and UFC. Those are my two sports. I was never a
100%.
big baseball or basketball guy. So for probably 3.5 years, I was exclusively football. I didn't touch any other sports.
Yeah.
And then kind of what happened was these like generational talents started to pop up. So you had like Victor Wembanyama,
Hmm.
come into the NBA. And all of a sudden I'm kind of looking and I feel like I'm losing focus from my guys on football. They're like, gravitating towards Wemby because he's this generational prospect. And then you have Caitlin Clark come in the WNBA,
Hmm.
and then like Shohei Ohtani starts to pop off in baseball. And I feel like the goats, we have Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady in football, but these guys started to really steal the spotlight in other
Hmm.
sports. So
Yeah.
eventually I had to transition to some other sports.
Hmm.
And so over the last year, we've done pretty much everything from we just did World Cup. That was pretty big. There's a lot of products out. Messi cards, we're going crazy.
Yeah.
Cooper flag now. There was actually a Shohei Ohtani that was just in a recent release. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
Oh yeah.
So he's gotten into sports cards big time. I don't know if you've seen anything on him.
Okay.
So him and this guy Shine. Shine's been a guy in the hobby for a long time. He's got a lot of money too. So him and Kevin O'Leary put a $10 million bounty on this Shohei Ohtani card,
Hmm.
brand new that just came out of this product. It had pieces of his jersey, game worn jersey pieces with his autograph on there. So yeah, that was a huge chase. I don't do a lot of baseball, but when I put that product up, I mean, it was one of the fastest filling breaks I think I've had. You know,
Oh, so you got that card?
no, we didn't get that card. No, no, no. But just it got hit pretty quick. Sometimes like these
Uh-huh.
cards take a long time. Like tonight we're gonna be ripping some of Luka Doncic rookie year.
Okay.
His best card, his rookie card, has never been found. He was a rookie in 2018.
Okay.
So, it's 8 years later and nobody's found that card. The Shohei Ohtani got hit in like 3 days,
Right. Right.
so um
That's just
yeah, it's
fascinating. It's so fascinating to me.
mhm,
Okay, so let's go late 2022, right?
mhm.
What's going on in the business at that point? Is it just you and your brother at that point?
No, my brother wasn't involved yet. 2022, I think I'm still solo at that point. And so I had built up, I was working for another company, a shop out here in Chicago. I was kind of remotely breaking in Michigan. So they would send me product, I would rip it. We
Hmm.
had kind of an agreement worked out there. And I was all on Facebook at the time. And eventually, I'm still working my full-time job while doing this, and it's getting to be a lot. So I split ways with that company, and I'm like, I think it's time to start my own thing. Right about that time, TikTok launches TikTok Shop.
Hmm.
So it's the first time people were selling on TikTok, but they would have like a Shopify store. So you would have to leave TikTok, go to their website, check out, come back. TikTok probably saw that happening and was like, how do we capture a piece of the action?
Hmm.
So they integrated TikTok Shop and they were like really aggressive trying to onboard sellers. So
Hmm.
they offered 0% commissions, no fees, and they covered shipping. Shipping adds up a lot in our industry because you got, $6 a package times 32 teams. Maybe you run 50 breaks a week. That's a lot of money.
Are
So
you always are you always going through the same shipping company? Like are you doing
it's
USPS
yeah, it's
or
USPS. It's integrated through TikTok Shop. So that was the nice thing. Now I don't have to print labels one by one, like enter in, Nolan Claypack and then your address. Now
Mhm.
it's all handled for me. At the end of the show, I just click print. all the labels spit out, just like how Whatnot is now.
Come on.
So that was a huge time saver. That was awesome. But yeah, no fees, and they covered shipping for, I think it was for 90 days. So
Uh-huh.
that was like the golden era. And at the time, it was like not very competitive on TikTok. Um, it's kind of interesting because sports cards and collectibles have driven this whole live selling market. Like, I don't know if I mean, I know you're familiar with Whatnot, Fanatics Live, eBay Live, launched
Mhm.
a little while ago. They're killing it. I think they just announced today their revenue is up 800% from last year. So
Wow.
live selling is becoming this like huge, huge industry. And sports cards, in my opinion, were the driving force behind that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reason TikTok Shop got started. That's the reason that Whatnot took off. It was all directly related to sports cards. Now it's taken off into so many different avenues. They have like Labubu breaks, and I was just on eBay the other day. They were doing watch breaks
Yeah.
where it's like you might get a Rolex or you might get a $15 Casio. So it's
Wow.
expanded in all these things, and like Pop Mart is huge on TikTok selling toys and things like that. So, but it's kind of cool that it all came from sports cards, and now it's
Yeah.
branched out into all these different things.
Yeah, well, I mean, sports are undeniable.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable. Like the White House card,
Oh,
that
dude,
was
oh my God.
that was the most insane night of my life. I was like,
Gaethje's my guy. I won a lot of money that night. I
yeah.
Gaethje's been my favorite fighter for a long time. That was electric.
So that's what's interesting to me because, at first entry, you're in an industry that is a little bit of a gamble, right? In a
That's
certain
a very
sense.
taboo word in our industry. We
Right.
everybody everybody likes to pretend that's not what's happening,
Uh-huh.
when in reality it kind of is, but we have to be very touchy about that word because, people are worried about regulation in the industry and things like
Yeah.
that. Essentially, yes, that's what it is, but
Okay, so just listening to it though, Breakwave is in its own niche. It's its own thing. It's not just because you're adding value to these cards, right? These cards don't come like as one team,
Mhm.
They don't
Right.
come where somebody that's a diehard, bullshit Chicago Bears fan and shit is gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get this pack of Chicago Bears. Maybe
Exactly.
Tops or a company will do that one day, and I
Yeah.
don't know, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because when you make money in the world or when anybody makes money in the world, somehow they solve a problem or they can add value to something
Yeah.
or and so I just think that you're solving a problem of a collector that just wants, this specific team,
Yeah.
and you're also kind of, creating value to it because you organized it.
Hmm.
You not only organized it, but when you guys are getting on this, I mean, look at your set. It's immaculate. And
Thank you.
I know that, and somebody that's maybe never set up some mics or some cords or some cameras or some tables and then
Hmm.
try to shoot something, maybe they don't understand, but you'll move the set like 20 times to
Oh
try
yeah,
to
a lot of
try to
trial
get
and
it
error.
to go. And so you're not only entertaining him, you're adding value through the organization of the breaks,
Hmm.
and I just think it's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that word, the Voldemort word, is like a taboo or whatever. But I
Yeah.
almost think that you're not even doing that because of maybe the volume that you're doing
Well,
and the organization,
it,
So
I think there's varying degrees of what feels more or less like gambling when it comes to breaks. So like our standard format and how breaking originated, I think was pretty wholesome. It's like I said, you want to collect a specific team. So if I put $100 into a break to get the Bears, it's not all about ones and zeros. I'm not just concerned about I want to make profit. I want to hit a $1 million card. If that
yeah,
happens, cool. I'm obviously going to be really excited. But if I hit a $50 card on a $100 break, I'm still happy. That's something that's going in my collection, and I'm
uh-huh.
going to be really, it's a more fun way to collect as opposed to just sitting in bed at night buying cards on eBay. That's not as fun as actually getting them in the wild. You feel like you earned it, hitting it in a break.
So
But I feel like
what do
the
you mean
industry's
by hitting it in a break?
so like if I took the risk, I bought the Bears in a break and an autographed card came out, or I hit a cool card, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
That kind of
I guess
that's why you get in.
What's confusing me is like, all right, so you can get a card in a break, but somebody took those cards out of their original package and then organized them, and then say I've taken 1,000 cards out of boxes that are in their original packaging from the card manufacturing company.
Hmm.
Then I break them into the different separate teams, and then as a box or whatever, I can then buy that. Say I buy the Chicago Bears. What is stopping a breaker that is doing that from taking out the best card from that team? Or is there or is that
So,
like the legitimacy that you try to develop?
well, so that's the whole thing of the live breaks is
Oh,
we
okay.
keep the boxes sealed until
Hmm.
all the teams are sold, and then we open them up live. So it's kind of a mystery box. You have odds, and like so there's something called hobby boxes,
Uh-huh.
which are ones you can't get at like Walmart. Those are like blasters and mega boxes. Those are the cheaper ones. They usually don't have any like specific guarantees. Hobby boxes, the more expensive ones. So we'll do a group of boxes and we know, hey, there's going to be 15 autographs coming out. We don't know
Hmm.
who it is. Once all those teams are sold, we open up the boxes, and if you're lucky, you hit an autograph. Sometimes you don't, you try again.
That is fascinating. All right,
Mhm.
so it's the live thing that's everything to these collectors because they're
Yes.
watching you break it. They're watching you put the capital down
Hmm.
and the risk. You're assuming the risk because you're buying them. You don't have any guarantee that somebody's going to buy
Exactly.
this.
Yeah.
But through that development, it's all documented that everything that you're breaking is going into this box.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. And yeah, so I'll just go back to that point I was touching on a second ago. So that the way that we do those breaks, I'm not saying we're better or worse than other people, but um, if you look at Whatnot now and you look at sports card shows, a lot of what it is, it's no longer picking the team you want. Um, it'll be a wheel, right? So different teams have different values. Like last season, Jackson Dart, was a huge prospect. So Giants were like the most expensive team in breaks, and it varies pretty crazily. So like
Really?
so Arizona Cardinals, not a good
Uh-huh.
rookie class. Kyler Murray's gone. Cardinals kind of suck right now, just to be honest.
Yeah.
So they'll be like $20
100%.
in a break we did yesterday. The Giants are like $700.
Okay.
So the value between these teams is it varies quite a bit. So on Whatnot, what they'll do now, it's all fast-paced auctions. We do set prices for the most part. They'll do auctions with a wheel. So
Mm-hmm.
you bid it up and the wheel spins and you just get a random team off that wheel. So that's where it starts to devolve a little bit more into gambling to where maybe you still are a collector, but you're a little bit more concerned with profit loss. You're trying to get the big team and hit the big card. And maybe you collect that player, maybe you don't, but that format's really taken off.
So, what are you streaming on now? What's the ticket now? And you don't have to give out anything that you don't want to. I just
Yeah.
where are you located? And give me something that you're working on. Like what's in the works? Because obviously you're seeing the watches, the watch breaks, or
Yeah.
different stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
um,
So we're on TikTok exclusively. We've
okay.
dabbled on other platforms. I've broken on Whatnot. I've been on Fanatics Live. I've been on pretty much everywhere. Um, but yeah, we're exclusively on TikTok right now. And then yeah, I mean, eventually we're looking to expand into other platforms. Just getting people we can trust. I think we got a guy coming in a couple months actually that's going to be joining us. I'm really excited about him. He's going to be a good live streamer. So yeah, we're just trying to expand into those different platforms and they're growing rapidly. Like I said, eBay is up 800% from last year in their live selling.
Uh-huh.
Whatnot just announced they raised 600 million to go capture new customers. So those platforms are like exploding, and TikTok's doing a great job too. But yeah, it's just trying to reach a wider audience. That's what we're going for.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what's something that you're seeing for the future in sports cards?
That is an interesting question. Well, without diving into it too much, we just had a major change in the sports card industry. So the company that manufactures sports cards, it used to be called Panini. There was
Hmm.
a company. out of Italy. They started with stickers, soccer stickers,
Okay.
collectible stickers. And then in 20, I think it was 2012, they got the exclusive rights to football um, and basketball. So it was kind of a new thing because back in the day, there were multiple manufacturers all competing with each other. That was the first time somebody had an exclusive license. Panini lost that license to Topps,
Hmm.
which manufactured a lot of the baseball cards back in the day.
Oh
They're
yeah.
now owned by Fanatics, who I'm sure you know. Michael Rubin's the CEO.
Okay.
So they just took over the whole industry. They have exclusive rights for football, baseball, and basketball.
Hmm.
And Michael Rubin's got his white party every year.
Hmm.
He's got a lot of connections with athletes and celebrities. So they've really pushed sports cards into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Ever since Topps took over, you're starting to see like sports cards ads. You're going to see one during the Super Bowl this year. You see Livy Dunn at like Fanatics Fest and Carl Anthony Towns and all these guys are breaking cards now.
Yeah.
So Topps has really pushed this sports card kind of a niche thing into the mainstream now to where they're trying to get millions more people involved in the hobby, which is really exciting. So a lot of people are concerned about the direction they're taking it, but it's definitely exciting and more people are talking about sports cards than ever. So
Than ever. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, because of my dumbass, I didn't buy the Zoom thing. So this
Yeah.
is my bad, Nick. I'm very sorry.
That's
But
right.
it's saying like it's gonna end in 6 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But I want to use every bit of that 6 minutes. All right, so say I'm a guy that loves sports, all right?
Mhm.
And I also love collectibles, right? Maybe I used to do Pokemon when I was a little kid, or maybe I'm trying to create a hobby out of it, right?
Mhm.
And maybe I want to sell, on TikTok Live or these new platforms that are doing crazy numbers because
Mhm.
the percentage of profit margins are insane. And I think that cards outperformed almost every single stock in the stock market by
Yeah.
like 300% or something like that.
Yeah, not all cards, if you stick to goats and guys that are solidified, yes, 100%. It's smoked the S&P 500, absolutely.
Yeah. So what do I do? Like where do you get your cards? Are you going to different shops and you don't have to explain what shops or whatever. I
Yeah,
know
it's
you're out
difficult.
of
If you make a name for
Chicago and
yourself,
stuff.
if you make a name for yourself, we had a distributor reach out to us a couple years ago.
Uh-huh.
So we started working with them. Now it's a little bit harder to get through that distributor, so we have to make connections with shops all around the country. We don't have a direct account with Tops. Um, Not a lot of shops do, and not a lot of breakers do. A lot of us got cut out when they
Hmm.
took over, so that's been a little difficult. But yeah, I mean, if you're someone who's young who's trying to get into the sports card industry, I
Hmm.
would treat it for a hobby as long as you possibly can. I know everybody has this like eagerness to jump in and turn it into a business.
Hmm.
The day to day of that will, I think your love for sports cards can suffer a little bit if you're turning it into a job. I don't think everybody needs to try to make money off sports cards. It's cool if you do, if you make the right investments, but just being a collector and collecting what you like and having fun at card shows and using that as a platform to connect with other people and make friendships, I think that's the best part about sports cards. And if you do want to turn that into a full-time job, that's great. Just be as knowledgeable as possible, be kind to other people and work your ass off.
Hmm. Very cool. And so is Breakwave kind of have its own community on TikTok Live? Like you got some
Yeah.
regulars and everything like that?
Absolutely. I've made a lot of friends through it. We have a private Discord channel, I think with like 600 members in it. And, every show, we just had the National Sports Card Convention here in
Yep.
Chicago. It was like hundreds of thousands of people, I think, stopped through. And I got to meet a lot of people from the stream that I've been breaking for like 4 years. I've never, put a face to the name, and I get to meet them in person for the first time. So that's really cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the community that you can build from it will, be something that you look back on and be like, this was the fucking best decision I ever made.
Yeah, it's fun. Like when we're doing these breaks, like everybody's rooting for each other. People get excited when other people hit big cards.
Hmm.
It's like being at the craps table. Everybody's like high five and being friends. It's really, really fun.
What's the biggest card that you ever broke on stream?
At the time, CJ Stroud back in 2023 was huge. We hit it's called the Downtown. It's like a rare insert, and we hit the gold version of that, which was numbered to 10. And allegedly, it sold for $52,000. That was a pretty big
Uh-huh.
one. And then Caitlin Clark, I pulled one of her autographs that sold for just a smidge below 30,000, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, that sounds like a lot of money. There's a lot of $100,000 and $1 million cards that have been pulled. I haven't gotten there yet, but
Right.
hopefully soon.
You will. You
Yeah.
will. I got a lot of faith in you, dude. I'm telling you from an outer perspective, I think it's the coolest thing in the world. I think
Thank you.
that you're doing something that you already won. You're an artist.
Thank you.
It's like people that end up getting money from playing music, being a brewmaster or creating their own brew brand, or you created your own brand and something that you love, and I think it's honorable and extremely hard to do. And dude, I really appreciate talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. This was fun.
Yeah. So, where can anybody find you? Do you have an online store? Can they only do it when it's live? What's going on with
Yeah.
that?
So it's Breakwave Sports Cards, TikTok, Instagram. You can buy it from our shop at any time. We just can't open the boxes for you unless we're live.
Hmm.
So we're live pretty much Monday through Friday, occasionally on the weekends, 5 p.m. Central Time till whenever we feel like we're done. We'll go till 2, 3 in the morning sometimes on new releases. So yeah, stop in on TikTok, follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of content on there, and then our Discord channel, which you can find in the link tree on our Instagram or our TikTok bio.
Okay. Perfect. Nick Fuss, everybody. Let's fucking
Thank you.
go. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been the New School Project. I'm Nolan Klapek. Nick, thank you so much. I think maybe run this back when I have the Zoom Gold account. They want some
Yeah,
more money. I'll pay them.
absolutely,
Just to
man. I'll
talk to
have
you
to
so
get
we
you a
can do
break
it
spot,
again.
one of our breaks too.
Yeah, I
I
would
mean, the
love that,
Lions
man.
suck, but we'll try to get you some good cards, I guess.
It is fancy that you landed in Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, dude, great seeing you. God bless you. All the power to you, your family, and your business. And I know you're gonna kick ass. So,
Thank you, man. Yeah, same to you.
oh yeah. All right, brother. Peace.
See ya.